Figured I'd wear this shirt for the intro.
Fragile.
Yes, but it's a medium, and mediums don't fit me well anymore. So I figured I'll throw this on for a minute, get the in, and we can use it in the any promotional things or whatever. But then I'll
I
throw
wasn't
it
going to
away.
say anything, but you brought it up. All right.
I mean, if you look at my arms look good, but I clearly have
Yeah.
some saggage here.
I believe the parlance is
Oh,
moobs.
moo. All right, let's throw this sucker on.
When these dads meet world, watching Boy Meets World. We grew up on the show, now we have kids and host a podcast. We watch each episode and then share our thoughts and grades. When these dads meet world.
They want you to take the roles.
Yes, they do.
Feliz Navidad, Brett.
Feliz Navidad. Yes. And you know what, Tyler? To get us in the mood, because this is a Christmas episode.
And the mood is right. Gonna have some fun, show you how it's done. TGIF.
Hi, I'm Cory Matthews of Boy Meets World. Welcome to the Christmas edition of TGIF.
Oh, boy, an Urkel doll. I love Steve Urkel.
Good looking people, welcome back to Dads Meet World. It is a Christmas episode week here in the beginning of May. If
Yes.
you don't know us, I am dad number one this week, Brett, joined in the Christmas household by
Dos Brace. Dado. Me, Tyler. We got some weird energy today. And yes,
We
in
do.
fact, we are back to the location that I was filming or recording most of the podcast, really. But yes, we still have up a Christmas sign that my wife made and our little no longer lights up little decoration and a little bucket that I think my wife got for a gift. Oh, there we go.
There we go.
I was looking for my hat, couldn't find it. I was looking for an ugly Christmas sweater, couldn't find it. So I'm going to switch up in just a second to my regular scheduled Dads Meet World shirt, Brad. But yeah, things are still up because we have baby and toddler, and we are literally running everywhere. So
Yes, they take
I
up
don't
a
even want
lot of your redecorating time.
Yeah, my son, he said to me, Dad, I want to do more decorating next holiday season. And I said, well, son, I also would like to do more decorating. But you know what gets in the way? What? You people.
Yes.
I'm like, mommy keeps getting pregnant. If she can stop getting pregnant for a holiday season, then maybe we'll have more success next year.
I'm going to cut this section of the podcast out and send it directly to mommy.
I mean, it's both of our faults, Brett. Let's not get into this. We need to get into Nick cut, but I mean, legitimately, this is like the third year in a row that she's pregnant on the holidays. So,
Yep. And in this case, the half Christmas holidays.
yeah, we were almost there, halfway to Christmas.
Yes. So Merry Christmas, good looking people, and welcome back to Dads Meet World, your weekly
And
deep
may the
dive
fourth be with you.
into Boy Meets World. And yes, we're recording 2 days after May the 4th be with you and Revenge of the 5th.
Hold on one second, Brett, because I have this funny thing to tell you. I think you'll really appreciate it. So, after church, we've been meeting with our teenagers to do a thing called confirmation. It's a really special thing, and so I've been doing meals. The pastor and I've been switching off back and forth. Who does a meal? So it was my turn to do a meal, and so I went, "Oh, you know, it'd be great, like a taco bar. Taco bar sounds really nice." And I said that to one of the teenagers yesterday as they were leaving the sanctuary, and they go, "Oh, what are we having?" I go, "We're doing a taco bar." Like, "Oh, because of Cinco de Mayo's today," and I went, "Yeah." Of course it is. That's exactly why we did it. Like, did you not know it was Cinco de Mayo? I'm like, nope, didn't even cross my mind.
Yeah, when you get busy and you have kids and other responsibilities, stuff like that just flies under the radar. I was traveling on Cinco de Mayo, and I slept half of Cinco de Mayo. Now,
Ooh, very
granted,
nice.
I am a very white person who is predominantly Scotch in my DNA, and my DNA
Donkey.
says that I have little to no Hispanic in my blood. So I don't really observe Cinco de Mayo, but
Have you guys done the 23andMe?
yes, I did
Nice.
Ancestry.
Okay.
Ancestry.com.
Same
Yes, I'm
thing.
predominantly Scotch, Welsh, other English countries, some Irish, and I am 2% Ubuntu and other natives in that area. So I am good looking people, 2% black.
Nice.
That's how I explained it to Toby when he asked me what that meant.
Mm-hmm.
The Ubuntu and other tribal peoples of that region. He asked me who they were, and the easiest way to say it was, Toby, I'm 2% black. So you're about 1.5% black.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing is that we go back so many generations, and complicated. Bread is complicated.
It is. And I know about 5, 6 generations back on, I believe, my mother's side, someone in my family tree married an indigenous woman from a tribe somewhere here stateside. But there's not enough of that bloodline to show up in the ancestry.com blood work. So that's in
Mm-hmm.
the like 0.07% of everything else.
Yeah, that's fair. Well, Brett, should we get into this episode?
I think we should. So good looking people,
Say we
Merry
actually talked about
Christmas.
everything, I think. So, Merry
I think
Christmas.
so. Yes. Merry Christmas, Feliz Navidad. And I'm not sure of how else to say Merry Christmas at this moment. Good looking people, it's going to be a fun night for me because, as I hinted at, I was traveling yesterday. We're recording a Monday night. I was working out of town all last week in North Carolina at a very, very long convention, some very long days, doing a lot of photography, a lot of videography, writing some articles, some long nights, some long days. I'm still trying to catch up on my sleep, so we're going to have some potentially very interesting dad Brett energy. So
Are we thinking like get off my lawn type energy, or just I don't know how I'm feeling between the next minute?
we're going to go and see how it is minute by minute. I don't know.
Fun.
Yes, indeed. So let's start out with Good Looking People. This is the 12th episode of season 4. It is the Christmas episode for season 4, Easy Street. Comedy veterans Buddy Hackett and Soupy Sales guest star as two businessmen of a shady sort who hire Cory to run errands for them. Since it is just before Christmas, Cory decides he can use the money for his holiday shopping. However, Cory quits once he figures out that the two gents are part of the mob. Shawn takes over, but Cory must persuade his pal to quit as well before he gets in over his head or hit over the head. Again, good looking people, I do not write these synopses.
Nor should you.
No, I should not. This episode was written by Jeff Manel, familiar name for us around these parts, directed by Jeff McCracken, originally aired December 13th, 1996, and currently enjoys an IMDb rating of 7.6. And our previous episode, episode 13, An Affair to Forget, or not 13, 11, sorry, I'm going the wrong direction. There's some fun dad energy. An Affair to Forget pulled in 12.4 million viewers the week before this. Tyler, where do you think this lands in the Nielsen numbers?
Oh, what did you say last week was 13?
Last week, 11 was 12.4 million.
Let's call it 13. Let's say we do another 13 this week.
All right. Well, you're correct. It did go up. We jumped up to 14.3 million. We gained almost 2 million viewers this week. Now, traditionally, Christmas holiday episodes, Christmas episodes on TGIF were a big thing. So no surprise there.
Let's say if they're all doing Christmas episodes, it's all getting a little bump that week.
Exactly. So, just as a fun production note for you, good looking people, production wise, we actually are supposed to be getting Chick Like Me this week instead of our Christmas episode. But we won't actually get there until like 3 episodes from now. So, just something to keep in mind. So, we're going to start out in Mr. Turner's once again poetry class, where we've been hanging out a lot this season. And Cory and Shawn, once again disinterested in learning about a poem all about choices called The Road Not Taken. Very, very familiar poem for a lot of people who aren't even into poetry. We've already talked a lot about how Mr. Turner's class has morphed into a full-blown poetry class from just an English class this year. But this is where we get the snoring and the yips bit that I unfortunately somehow did not manage to clip. I don't know how. But this is where we find out that Cory and Shawn take turns snoring and yipping in Feeney's class and Turner's class. Because Feeney walks in and comments to Mr. Turner that normally Mr. Hunter handles what does Shawn handle in his classes? The snoring or the yips? I don't remember now.
He says that it's the yipping. Normally Shawn handles the yipping, and Cory does the snoring.
I do love the bit though, because they wake up and they don't know which class they've slept through now because they're both there.
Yeah, this is one of the best Cory Shawn moments where you sit back and you go, anyone else in this school would be in trouble, but Shawn and Cory can get away with murder.
Wasn't it just last week we saw Shawn sleeping on top of 2 desks?
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah. No, sorry, it wasn't last week. It was the week before that, though.
Yes, 2 weeks ago.
So, yeah, no, it's just so funny because, like, they're both sleeping, like, hardcore out. And I'm like, as someone who has fallen asleep before in class, I could imagine I would snore a little bit because I've been told even if I'm not sleeping, I can still be snoring and not realizing it. So for them to be like full blown, like hardcore snoring and hardcore yipping,
Yip, 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 yip.
yeah, it's just ridiculous.
Yeah, I didn't sleep through any classes in middle school, high school, whatnot, largely because I was homeschooled. But I had one class in college that I did sleep through, statistics. But I wasn't into a point in my life where I was doing a lot of snoring yet at that point. So
So Brett, I had a question for our teacher extraordinaire, Sarah. I know we've not had her on for a while, but
yes.
I just sent her a message saying, "Hey, how often is it, or have you ever heard of a class like a high school class being like just poetry or mostly focused on poetry?" And she said, "Yes, some districts offer poetry courses. They're definitely more common in larger districts with more courses offering as opposed to rural schools, but definitely poetry literature classes." So
All right.
there
So
you
it
go.
tracks. It tracks. John
Yeah.
Adams could conceivably be offering, because we are
Yeah.
talking, they are juniors at this point.
Yeah. No, this school is either the most poorest school they've ever been to, or this school has money to waste. We never know which one we are week to
It
week. It really
depends
depends on the
on the
writers.
week.
It depends on which joke will be funnier, Brett. Let's both be real on that.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. But we're going to
So
talk
yes.
about the poem that the Robert Frost poem, The Road Not Taken. Talking about 2 roads diverging in a wood, and I took the one less traveled. This is the very often quoted line that people will reference. Shawn just doesn't get it. he can't grasp the imagery of poetry yet, even though we'll see him even next year starting to really get into poetry. Mr. Turner makes a comment about Shawn. He thinks of Shawn as job security. I like that little comment there. A little underhanded as a teacher to make in front of a student,
Mhm.
but he and Shawn have that relationship, so I'll allow it.
Mhm.
But he gives them an assignment. He wants them to keep a journal of the choices you make over the next week and write a paper on the potential of those choices to change your life. I like this assignment for this poem.
Mhm.
I think this is a great way for these students to figure out how this poem will actually tie into their life. This is an assignment worthy of the Jonathan Turner we met in season 2, who was going to compare X-Men to, I am blanking on what book they were getting into that first episode.
It's not To Kill a Mockingbird.
Oh, definitely wasn't To Kill a Mockingbird. Oh, what was it
I was
now?
thinking of the Girl Meets World assignment.
But anyway,
Let's see if I have it in my deep.
but this is a Mr. Turner assignment where he's going to bring in life experience to tie into his assignment in his classroom, his text that he's teaching through. So, journal assignment. And but Shawn really just kind of sees himself. He knows where he expects to see himself. He expects where this road's going to take him is going to be waiting outside the gas station, waiting for the next shipment of lottery scratchers. That's where he's going to see himself. This tracks. Season 1, his dad sold tires. His career day choice was he was gonna be his dad selling tires. He's always kind of seen himself not going very far. He was just gonna fall into whatever he saw family in the trailer park in his realm of influence doing. He was gonna fall into that. Last season, he was in Uncle Mike's motorcycle shop, learning the tricks of the trade there.
It's the Odyssey, by the way.
The Odyssey, yes, there it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, shame on me for not remembering that.
Yes, shame on you. What I gotta say, I'm not a huge fan with the way that Turner kind of talks down about be scratching lottery tickets, blah blah blah. A lot of normal people play the lottery because it's a game. And
Mhm.
for $1 you can entertain yourself and it's okay.
Yeah.
Like when I was a kid, regularly my dad would go get donuts, get a couple of scratch off tickets for my mom, and that was a nice gesture to her just to say, "Hey, I know you like this game, you know, here you go." You know, it's a small thing. Is it
Mhm.
throwing your money away? Of course it is. Does people normally win? No. But you know what, Brett? When the Powerball gets up to $1 billion, you might as well take your shot. $3 for a potential billion? Of course you take that bet.
Mhm. Yeah. And you know, a little thing here, a little thing there, and it's nothing. Yeah, it's fine. I think the phrasing there though is waiting in line on the next shipment is what gets me is that painting that picture of hopelessness where that's all you've got to look forward to. And that you've fallen into that trap of this is the high point of my days, waiting for that little moment of the next shipment of scratch offs.
Fair.
But yes, but I digress. We're going to leave John Adams High and we're going to head out to, we still don't really know the name of the Matthews store yet, do we? I don't remember seeing
I
a
think it's
sign.
called Matthews Outdoor.
Yeah, we'll have to look at my screenshots again from Shallow Boy because that's the only
Yeah,
episode
because
I can remember seeing it
Shallow Boy
outside.
has the sign.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'll have to look at that again. But we're at the Matthews store, and it's gonna be the first Christmas in the city for Lonnie, and
Lonnie? Who's Lonnie? We haven't seen her in ages.
We have not seen her in ages, but Lonnie is back. Lonnie is Ezekiel's niece, who is
Very
came into,
beautiful
yes,
niece.
very beautiful niece. Who, danged if we didn't just do everything we could to. I am blanking on how he phrased it now, but they tried to raise her with as girly as they could, but she still, she grew up with all her masculine brothers, and she's basically a tomboy, but a very beautiful tomboy at that. And so
Which is
Eric's
nothing wrong.
yeah, nothing wrong with that at all. But Eric keeps placing himself in the path for Lonnie's sadness so that he can be that shoulder to cry on. Very on brand for him. And I gotta say, when I don't think deeply about the plots of individual episodes of Boy Meets World, this B plot is what tracks in my head. That's the thing I come back to primarily, is this Eric and Lonnie plot. I don't know why, but I don't know why. But the A plot with Shawn and Cory and the job at the Italian restaurant that does good takeout. I don't know why that doesn't stick in there. But Eric's actually going to offer to drive Lonnie 500 miles to be with her family for Christmas. How
So when
far
she
did
wakes up,
she? How far did she and
she'll know she'll
Ezekiel
have to be.
walk?
She'll have to be the man she was going to be. Sorry, I tried.
When I
You
wake
were
up,
talking. That's the moment I was trying to get it in.
well, I know I'm gonna be the man who wakes up next to you, and I would walk 500 miles. Weird energy. How far did Lonnie and Ezekiel walk to get to the store for their employment just a few episodes back?
Brett, it doesn't matter. It's all about the joke. You know that. That's just the way it is. And I'll
At the
also say
yogurt
this.
shop.
The fact is that they're talking about him like he's coming from the mountains. Now, if he's talking the Poconos, that's kind of a more high-end area. If you're talking like West Virginia mountains, which is what I get the gist that he's coming
That's what
from,
I always
I
got
mean,
the gist.
500 is pretty reasonable. My concern is the fact that he was already in Philadelphia. Why would a man from West Virginia make his way to Philadelphia and then apply at a store that does yogurt?
Because the joke comes first. Available on t-shirts at
Yes.
dadsmeetworld.threadless.com.
Yeah. And also, after he had some success, why does he choose that he must go back when there's clearly other people that could do what he is
Because his
doing?
mama took powerful sick.
I know. It's just.
And because
Okay,
Pete Bilkerson was needed back on Home Improvement.
Yes. That's my thing, though. Like, Lonnie was introduced as this character to almost be here for a while. She has, again, good chemistry with the character of Eric. Will Friedle somehow has magical chemistry with every single girl he's on screen with.
Oh, yeah.
And they just do nothing with it. Like, if she had become Eric's love interest, I could buy that. But that's not the case.
Sadly not. No girlfriend for Eric. No long-term love interest. No. But anyway, Eric's going to drive her 500 miles to be with her family. And
Brett, I think we might be getting to a point where we could do a ranking of who should be Eric's girlfriend.
I think that's a fair game. We should. We're going to get to meet these new employers at Cory's cushy new Christmas break job at the Italian restaurant, which is clearly a redressed Chubby's.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mr. Martini is played by Soupy Sales. First and only time we'll see him on Boy Meets World. 36 acting credits to his name. I know. The Real McCoys, The Soupy Sales Show, The Beverly Hillbillies, The Love Boat, Wings, Black Scorpion, and more. He sadly passed away in 2009. And Mr. Fontaine, played by Buddy Hackett. First and only time we'll see him on Boy Meets World. 61 acting credits to his name, including The Rifleman, The Music Man, Get Smart, The Love Boat, Scrooged, The Little Mermaid, Dinosaurs, Sabrina the Teenage Witch, Animaniacs, Just Shoot Me, and more. He also sadly passed away in 2003. These guys are
Who did he play in Scrooged?
in Scrooged. I'm not sure, but give me a second here, and I will pull it up to see.
That's fine.
But these guys are comic. They're known for their comedy, not so much for their acting on TV and movies. But these are comedians, and they were probably a big part of that bump of 2 million
Oh yeah.
coming into this week's spike, because they probably marketed the crap out of this episode, having Buddy Hackett and Soupy Sales.
I believe it.
Yeah. So we've got, let's see, Buddy Hackett. You played in Scrooged. This is beautiful music. He was also the voice of
No, I'm just sitting here like, I'll just keep waiting patiently because
For anyone who knows, he was actually Scrooge in Scrooged.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He was the Scrooge.
Yes, he was the Scrooge in Scrooged.
That's such a good movie.
Yeah, he was also the voice of Scuttle in The Little Mermaid. If anyone really is looking for to put a voice to the name, or to the face in the name, if you're struggling and you haven't watched this episode back in a while and just want to hear something.
Yeah.
But yes. So you were here in this redressed Chubby's Italian restaurant, who only has Mr. Martini and Mr. Fontaine, and Sam at the bar, who we'll never see, which is kind of a off-the-cuff reference to Cheers, I believe. But Cory is choosing his words very carefully. I found that a very hilarious bit when asked about who made the coffee, the cappuccino. I did. But they're clearly more powerful than Sam at the bar is. And so yeah, we get a little bit there. So Cory gets a little bit of a tip there, and keep the cappuccinos coming. There'll be a little more here for you. So we get a little bit of introduction there. We get to see Cory's cushy job, and we go to the kitchen, and we get to see Shawn come in, and we found out his job at the docks is not as cushy as he thought it would be.
It's a cushy union job, Brett.
Union jobs are always cushy. That is one word I've never heard applied to a union job of.
There's a reason why most unions are successful in forming. It's because they need to be a united front against the man.
I don't think I've ever heard cushy applied to any union job. Especially one that is as physical as working on the docks in the middle of December and January in Philly.
Yeah. No, I would not imagine that to be cushy at all.
No.
But apparently Cory's having breakfast and Shawn's saying, I'm out for lunch.
Yeah, he's been on the docks since 3:30 a.m. Now, I have to say, a union would not hire a 15 or 16-year-old to start a shift at 3:30 a.m. because it would be illegal for them to do so. I'm calling shenanigans.
Right. Well, I mean, labor laws could have been different back then, but I know that today, of course they weren't, Brett, but it's not important. The joke is the important thing. Yes, no, today there are certain limits of when a teenager can and cannot work. Also, they have to have proper working permits that they have to get from the school. So,
and no
all
school
this
is going
to
to
say,
let their students be out at 3:30 in the morning.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna guess, Brett, that this job isn't so much union as it is under the table.
Yeah, the union may be paying him, but he's not employed by the union.
maybe
They're
the
both
company
working
is
for the
called
mob.
the company could be called the Union. Thus, Shawn thinks, oh, that's what it means to be the
They're
Union.
union shipping.
Yeah,
I think they're both working for the mob, and he's
of
just
course
got
they
the
are.
crappy job.
Okay, let's just talk about this now, Brett. If your father has a store around the holiday season, would you rather be giving people cappuccinos or work for your father?
Oh, I would work for my father, hands down.
Yeah, again, we talked this a few weeks ago. Why doesn't Corey work for his parents at the store?
With as much money as they had to juggle, because Eric's college fund went into the purchase, they put down a lot of money up front. They talked about the financial strain it was going to put on the family. Each one of those kids, except for Morgan, should be picking up some shifts after school to help here and there and on weekends. Amy has already been seen helping out before we got Ezekiel. Why
Hmm.
is Corey not automatically working shifts there during Christmas break anyway?
Right. I feel like, I mean, they could say that Corey's not as much into camping and whatnot as Eric is, but they make Corey sound like he is more interested in the back end of the store.
Hmm.
So why isn't Alan teaching him those things and having him do things in the back? Like if
Yeah.
Corey's the first eyes on the books and Alan checks his work, that is a way to take pressure off of Eric and Alan both.
Hmm.
And also, Corey could easily sell stuff. Maybe he doesn't know everything like a mountain man, but Corey
Yeah.
can tell him what the best deal is, and Corey will upsell.
Yeah. And if we know anything from Seven the Hard Way, Corey will turn out to be an accountant, a CPA.
Right. But every time Corey has the opportunity to make money, he does a good job making money.
Yep.
So I don't understand why he's not involved with his dad's business, Brett. Why is he not involved? Especially around the holidays time. Holiday is the time you need extra workers because you will sometimes have your extra long hours. So that way you're keeping up with demand. Black Friday, you're telling me that their store wasn't busy? Small Business Monday?
Hmm. Yeah. I'm calling shenanigans on Jeff Minnell. This was,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
But
and
I
also, you, Brett, his store would get shipments of things. So they need people to unload stuff and then put things out. So around this
Alan would
time
have been
too,
employing both of them.
right? I don't know why Shawn has been working there. If you said that Shawn has a decent job, he's regularly making money, that's how he can afford to go and do things, and how maybe that keeps his parents afloat a little bit longer. Thus, and then they have an argument over the fact that they're tapping into Shawn's money, and then that's why Verna leaves again. We've solved all the plot holes, Brett.
Indeed. Look at that. We have solved a 30-year-old plot hole.
Yeah, I get the funniness, the comedy of the whole situation, but the fact that Corey, at least during the holidays, and Shawn aren't working at the store is bull.
Yeah, it's a huge problem for me in the logistics of how they frame us.
Hmm.
Yeah. It's
I
a
mean,
lot to
it's
work
not
through
like
to get where we get in the
Corey and
episode.
Eric don't, or Corey and Shawn don't end up there. It's either the kitchen of the Matthews household or the shop.
Yeah. So Corey and Shawn have a little bit of a tete-a-tete in the kitchen, and Corey is very happy to a little bragging about his cushy job. Shawn is going to you know, smear some of his snot on Corey's face and take him down like the outbreak monkey if he goes down.
Yes.
And we're gonna go back to the Italian restaurant, and I've got a little clip here because Corey's going to show off how easy it is for him to make money.
Okay, now you both know how I'm not one to ruffle feathers, but There is no mailbox at 14th and Pine.
Today, there's gonna be a mailbox on 14th and Pine.
And Mr. Fontaine is never wrong about mailbox placement.
Okay. Once again, if I may, if you really want this mailed, you should consider putting a stamp on here and maybe even an address.
You're a noticer, aren't you? I noticed that you're a noticer.
Not to worry. This envelope is definitely getting to where it's supposed to, right, sir? Do you have any idea who you're working for?
Yeah, Mr. Fontaine and Mr. Martini and Sam. Sam. Why? What's going on?
Nothing, not a thing. You're working for the mob.
So Cory's brought Shawn into the restaurant to basically to brag and show off, and he's got an assignment. And it hits him like a ton of bricks that when Shawn shares, yeah, you're working for the mob. I'm curious what the mob in Philadelphia is like.
Mm-hmm.
Now, modern day Philadelphia, I can probably easily imagine what the mob would be like. But 93, 96 Philadelphia, I don't know.
Maybe there's something on deep dives in that. You don't know.
Maybe.
I guess you're going to have to notice something later on. I noticed that you noticed.
You're a noticer, aren't you?
There is no mailbox. Today there will be a mailbox.
And Mr. Fontaine is never wrong about mailbox placement.
Mm-hmm. Now, Brett, here's my thing. As street smart as Cory is, why didn't he realize quickly that he's working for the mob?
I don't have a good explanation, but I can.
Also, Alan and Amy, why would they agree to let him go work at this place? Because even if he's not aware, Alan should be.
There should be some sort of scuttlebutt around town that this restaurant, which never has anyone there, is still open and still pulls in enough money to stay open. There's got to be rumors circulating around town amongst the Small Business Owners Association, the Chamber of Commerce.
Yes.
How does this restaurant stay open?
Yeah, no, we all have seen businesses, Brett, where there's never any customers. They always have their open sign on, and you wonder, how do you make money? And you know what the answer is, Brett? You don't ask those questions, and you don't go to those establishments.
Indeed.
Yes.
Yeah. So Cory is very quick once he realizes that he's working for the mob, that he stands up for himself and he leaves, which credit to Mr. Fontaine and Miss Martini, they let him go.
Yeah, they take it very well.
No retribution there. Maybe it's because Shawn's right there to step in. Maybe, I don't know. But
probably because he's a child, so they don't want to nix a child.
Put a horse head in his bed or anything. But Shawn's ready to step in. Shawn just snaked Cory's cushy job.
Yeah. But for Shawn, I get it.
Yeah.
Like, for lack of better wording, Shawn could easily end up making a career for himself in the mob and doing quite well for himself for a short time period.
Yes, and based on what we've already learned, even just in this episode, it's not outside the realm of possibility that Shawn could see himself falling into this type of work. He figures he gets some good here. He's got something after high school. If he finishes high school.
I don't know about you, Brett, but is it just me, or at this stage in our culture, Is the mob not as bad as we used to think they were?
I don't think we really think of the mob a lot anymore. Organized crime is a different animal compared to what it used to be in the zeitgeist.
It's very true. Oh, I know what you mean, Brett. The mobsters, instead of doing small jobs, they would do jobs in the millions and billions, and no one noticed anything. They still wear suits, and they just go to a place called Wall Street.
Well, I mean, it's a lot more profitable to pull off white collar crime than it is blue collar crime these days. So the mob itself.
Are you telling me, Brett, that a few individuals brought our economy to the brink of destruction and no one went to jail over it? White collar
No.
crime is basically legal?
No. I didn't say that. I think I think the way that the mob operates in the sense of an organized crime entity is definitely morphed in the last 30 years, and it's a lot easier to forget about it because it's fallen back into the shadows a lot more.
Mhm.
They deal in a
But
lot of different things that frankly not are better suited for discussion outside of the realm of what we like to talk about in our podcast. They've gotten into
that's fair.
different, more profitable exploits.
Yeah. I mean, let's be honest, Brett. Some of those mobs, they did build some really beautiful churches and additions.
They got the gabagool.
The gabagool.
They sell insurance in Scranton, PA.
That's one of my favorite episodes of the show. Oh goodness. Yes, I do like that Shawn steps right in and the guys are just happy with it.
Yeah, they've got their errand boy. All they wanted was an errand boy who would be loyal to them and do stuff without any questions asked. Up to that
They
point, Cory
just need
was
someone
yeah,
to do it so they don't get caught themselves.
exactly. They just need a fall guy in case something happens, basically.
Hmm. But he's loyal and they like that.
Yeah, so we're going to find out that Shawn is going to take over the job. He's working at the restaurant during the school day. He figures that the gentleman asks Shawn about what he thinks about their business and how they manage to stay open even though no one's ever there. I figure you do a good takeout business. Iconic line from the episode. But Cory comes in to find him because, as I said, Shawn's been working at the restaurant during the school day.
He got
Cory's
lost
trying.
going to Chubby's.
Yes. He wandered into Chubby's in a time warp. Oh, man. But while they're talking, they hear a car backfire that they mistake for a gunshot. That should be a pretty big red flag while they're laying on the floor that if that's your reaction in your place of business, it's time to go.
Now, for the younger, good-looking people, car backfiring is something that used to happen a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Something so that even in the 90s, you would have heard this quite a bit. But from the 30 years since the show began, at this point, we don't really have those unless you're in a small community where people still drive older vehicles.
Yes. Exhaust systems have much improved over the last 30 years, so it is a rarity to hear cars backfiring nowadays, but it
Hmm.
was pretty frequent.
You know,
Yeah.
and most of the classic cars, those people that have those take really good care of them. So even those don't really backfire either.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah. But it didn't take much to have one happen.
yeah.
But Shawn's also picked up some Italian, so we get another instance of his savant
Italian
type
heritage.
ways with language here.
Well, in the first season, they may claim that Eric, that Shawn is his mom is Italian. So he is also part Italian.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes sense that if they're talking in more Italian expressions, that he would pick that up and start doing it himself.
It does. Verna doesn't strike me as very Italian, though.
No, but does it matter? Brett?
to be normal, Chet!
She's got the expression she's got the big bold expression, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know how to respond to that at this point, Brett.
we'll move on then, because we're gonna move over to Eric and Lonnie driving on the turnpike, and Lonnie senses there's some big and powerful blizzard heading their way.
Yeah, they do the one thing you should never do when it's snowing and really gross weather, and that's pulling the car over.
Yes. You and I have both spent many, many years living in areas where it gets nasty. Snow comes down. It comes down quick, and the weather can turn on a dime. My first year living out in Cory, when you were in high school, I still have a video on my YouTube channel that gets views every now and then, where I just stuck the video camera, pointed out the back window to our driveway, and I had to dig out like 3 feet of snow just to get to my car. So trust us when we say this, good looking people, the worst thing you can do when the snow starts coming down like that is to just stop.
Yeah, you don't stop on the highway. You keep going until you can get somewhere safe, and then you pull over.
Yeah.
Never pull over on the side of the road. It's not smart. Speaking as someone who, in a blizzard in Buffalo, New York, where there is very intense lake effect snow, and when the lake freezes, snow is literally moving all around, making it white. Driving a bus that essentially I could only see as far as like my dining room table is, or a typical dining room table, like that's as far as I could see. Yeah, if anyone had just stopped in the middle of the road and I didn't see them, I was easily going to clip them.
Mm-hmm.
I had to get pulled out twice that day. That was no fun.
Yep. So Eric knows what to do, though. Mark everything up 30%. And then as he's trying to get the door open, he knocks himself out.
Yeah. Now, Brett, you and I haven't lived in Philadelphia, but I would assume that Philadelphia will still get hit with decent snow, even if
I
it's
have
not as
friends that
consistent
have
as.
lived out there, and they don't get as much as you do up around Cory or up in Buffalo, but they get a fair amount that Eric should know how to handle himself in a blizzard.
Yeah, no, Eric should know what to do and what not to do, and he's not thinking with his brain.
No, he is not. Of course, after the last few episodes, I don't know that we can accuse Eric of thinking with his brain much this season. Sadly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
do you see my face? Do I look happy to you?
Oh, yes. So we'll
okay, but Eric has tried so intensely to flirt with Lonnie, to make clear that he finds her attractive, and she has shown no signs of interest in him whatsoever.
Oh, yes. There is
and
no
the show does
interest
not
returned.
give a second to go, why doesn't she have interest in him? What type of guys does she find attractive? Nothing.
Yeah, it's not like they're showing that she's interested in the guy over at the yogurt shop or anything. It's just Eric's attracted to her. She's not attracted to him, period. That's all it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
I don't get it.
I don't either. Anyway, this whole script needed another.
Don't panic.
Mark everything up 30%. So we're going to shift back over. Shawn is going to bring Cory a special Christmas present for his friend that he's never been able to buy a Christmas present like this for. It is a watch that he had engraved. Cory's disappointed because Shawn didn't quit the job. But how could Shawn quit easy money? And I can see how this would be very hard for someone from Shawn's world to quit what he sees as easy money and potentially a path to somewhere better than where he is.
Yeah.
From what he sees where he is. We've got the framework of two roads diverge in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by. That's our framework for this episode. Shawn is seeing, basically, he's seeing the easy path is the best path to take. He thought he tried the harder path with the dock work, and that didn't get him anywhere except for frozen and chattering in the kitchen. He sees an easier path, and he figures that's the better path to take. But Cory's very disappointed.
This is the notch of this episode that bothers me too, because Cory has cold hard cash from those people. It's not like he gave it back to them, or it's not like he donated immediately somewhere to get it away from him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they both took jobs to make money so they can buy their friends gifts. I put it in quotes because Shawn and Cory only really have Shawn and Cory, and also sometimes Topanga's there.
Topanga might be if the episode calls for it.
Yeah. So, like, I get it. And I also get, like, Shawn wanting to get an actual nice gift for his friend.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a really nice gift. It's a really good gesture.
Yes.
And the problem is that Cory can't see past how he got it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot of emotion going on right now. Shawn is proud of how he was able to afford something nice for once and do something really nice for Cory after all the years that he's doing nice things for him. Cory is disappointed that Shawn is taking the easy way out, even though Cory himself has held on to that money. Like you said, it's a mess. It really is a mess. And we'll put a pin in that because we're going to find out Eric concussed himself, and concussed Eric is fun Eric.
Hey, Mommy. Hey, Daddy. Oh, no. Or Horsey.
Are you all right?
Thought you two were on your way up to Lonnie's folks' house.
Never made it. Ran into a nasty squall, 4 feet of snow. We had to stay in the car until the plow dug us out. It was no big thing.
How did he bump his head?
Like this.
Yes, they didn't make it to 500 miles to be the man who woke up next to you. They just made it back to the Matthews. And Eric got concussed, apparently. I say apparently because after that, after Alan and Amy leave the room, he and Lonnie moved to a very intense conversation where Eric is surprisingly coherent. And
he sobers up pretty quick.
He does sober up pretty quick. And I clipped a chunk of that as well.
Eric, I didn't want to scare your folks, but we both nearly died back there.
Died?
And the snow fell and the temperature dropped below freezing. I wrapped my arms around you and I held you as tight as I could.
Nope, no, you never did that. I would have remembered that.
You were unconscious.
You were holding me and I was unconscious?
You were shaking and shivering and turning all blue, so there was only one thing left to do to survive.
You ate my leg?
Eric, I had to warm up your body, so I remembered the old trapper's trick. I stripped your clothes off of you, and I stripped mine off of me, and I wrapped us both up in a tiny, tight sleeping bag all naked. But Eric, we survived.
So what? Honey, when you're surviving with someone like that, you have the common courtesy to wake them up. You kick them, smack them, yell in their ear, hey, we're naked.
See, surprisingly coherent for someone who's concussed. I've been concussed before. I can see concussed and still have that type of a focus for a conversation that you're invested in. But to go from more horsey ride to this is, yeah, that's a little bit. But
that's the thing is Eric ping pongs around all the time, and the joke always comes first for him.
yes.
But yeah,
No.
again, it's this moment of Eric is so desperate for a certain thing that that's all his focus is on.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this might change the relationship for him and Lonnie. And I think she realizes, you know what? I don't think I want to be around Eric anymore, which would be reasonable.
Very reasonable in my book, because Eric just, yeah, all pretense is now dropped. Eric has just laid all the cards on the table. I don't know that
And
Lonnie
the way,
really appreciates all the cards.
and the way he acts later on too is not good for him either.
No. Brr, Lonnie.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I could get why a woman would be very uncomfortable with that.
Yeah, it doesn't sit well 30 years later. It didn't really. I'm sure it didn't sit well for many women then, but yeah, it's a joke that doesn't sit well now.
With all that said, I have to say, Eric, we survived. So
What?
what?
Eric's response in the moment, hilarious. Eric's hanging on to that after this conversation is the joke that doesn't go over so well.
Yes.
You ate my leg? Yes. So we'll move over from there. Cory is going to go looking for Shawn. He finds him because Mr. Martini and Mr. Fontaine have given him a box to take to a warehouse where he has to wait to be picked up for the box to be picked up. He's the box boy. He's delivering the box. And well, Cory's being what we've known Cory to be to Shawn. He's being the good friend that is willing to go stand by him even when he's making the bad choices. And it's well, I clipped that. So let's
Nice.
see what Cory and Shawn have to say here in this first clip.
Oh, loyalty. I like that. In a worthless little coffee boy who they don't care if he lives or dies.
I've never had money like that before, Cory. It makes me feel like somebody to be able to buy nice presents for my family and friends.
Damn. I'm sure that's a real nice feeling. Hey, what's in the box?
I don't know what's in the box. I have nothing to do with this box. I am merely the box holder.
No, come on, open it up. I want to see what's inside. I want to see your face light up like a happy little elf. Open it up, my little elf.
Cory, you know, I don't want to spend my life in front of a convenience store waiting around for the next batch of lottery tickets.
Shawn, he was exaggerating.
Yeah, well, it rang pretty true to me.
So this is it. This is the road you're taking.
And there we are. We're back to our framing sequence. We've got, we're, 18, 19 minutes into the episode. And we've actually got the sense of danger for the mob in place. Up till now, it's just been a couple of friendly old guys with some potentially implied danger. But here we have Cory actually bringing into us a sense of a worthless little coffee boy that they don't care if you live or die. And we actually get some permanence here. And we go back to our framing device, and Shawn we see that Shawn's been thinking about this. So clearly he's been doing a little thinking through this journal process. He's probably been writing some of the journal as he's had time with his cushy new job. But he doesn't want to be on that that path that leads to waiting outside the convenience store, waiting for that next batch of lottery scratchers to come in. He wants something better than that for himself.
Mm-hmm.
And he thinks this is the only way to get out of it.
Mm-hmm. I struggle with this moment because Cory is trying to reach Shawn,
Mm-hmm.
but I wish that Cory could admit he put him in that position.
Mm.
Cory bragged about having this cushy job, which, again, how did Cory get that job? We'll never know. And an opportunity arose for Shawn. Now, he is in danger because he has no idea who may show up, or he doesn't know if anyone is actually going to show up. There could be absolutely nothing in that box, and the next two people that might show up might be, Mr. Fontaine and the other guy.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Martinez.
Maybe it's Sam. Sam. So yeah, I struggle with this moment because I think in Cory's mind, this is not what he wants, so this should not be what Shawn wants. And the fact of what Turner said about waiting for the lottery tickets really rang true to him because I think it made him think about his parents.
Mm-hmm.
And if he's going to end up like his parents, and the fear of that, does drive him. And so I think I feel like Cory needed to be a little bit kinder in what he was asking him. But, and this is also one of those moments where, as great as it is that Cory had this moment with him, I kind of wish this is a time that Turner would have showed up.
Yes. I do too.
Because this would have been a great opportunity for him to be like, I said this in anger. I don't think you're going to go down that path.
Mm-hmm.
I shouldn't have said what I said. I clearly affected you. Because an adult should have been made aware that he has a job he shouldn't have.
Mm-hmm.
And this really was a moment for Turner to step in. And I get the theme of this season, if we were to say it, is them trying to solve problems without adults. We've seen that blow up already. So I really wish that we could have seen a moment where they got an adult. Maybe it wasn't Turner, but maybe Feeney, or maybe it was Alan. Some form of an adult figure in his life who could have said, hey, this is not the road you're actually going to go down. I believe more in you. You need to believe in you the way that I believe in you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just,
this is
because I feel like everything he's
opportunity for that.
Yeah, I mean, everything he's saying is accurate, but I feel like it's the wrong person delivering that.
It really is. And I almost wonder if in the writer's room, if there was an adult delivering some of these lines and they just decided to cut the adult and give them to Cory.
Maybe. I don't know. It felt like he was coming with an authority that Cory himself does not possess, like a moral high ground.
Mm-hmm.
And Cory doesn't really have that moral high ground.
Yeah.
And I wish that this show could admit, especially for Cory, that there are some problems they cannot solve themselves, and they do need help sometimes. And this would have been a great opportunity.
It would have been. I agree. So we do find out Shawn is scared, and he thought he could use his street smarts to keep him safe. But here he is, Christmas Eve, out on the docks, holding a box.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to keep rhyming.
But we also have no idea how Cory got there because he can't drive yet.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. I'll just lean into the world and say maybe it was a bus because I could hear a bus in the background. Maybe he just took a bus out there.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Again, missed opportunity.
Yeah.
Even if it was as simple
Harley
as
in the background.
Even if it was as simple as, like I got a ride from Mr. Turner, or Mr. Feeney gave me a ride. Like, they're waiting for us. Like, they're expecting both of us to come.
Yep.
Something.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. This is part of the annoyance I have.
Yeah.
It's the way it goes, I guess, this season.
Yeah. But yeah, high highs and low lows. And this is not a
Yeah.
high. But
No.
Shawn is realizing life is not as simple as it used to be. And at least they're in this moment, at least not as simple as it used to be. It used to appear for them too. He has a line about, "I thought the devil was a guy with horns, and it'd be easy to see him." Yeah, but well, I clipped it, so let's watch it.
You know, Shawn, I didn't see this coming at all. I mean, I thought the devil was supposed to be some guy with horns and a big tail.
Cory, it's Christmas Eve. You should be with your family.
No. No, see, that would be the wrong choice. See, the difference in the poem is that guy had to choose his road alone.
So you don't think he had a best friend?
No, I guess not. But, according to this, you do.
Two roads diverge in a wood. And I choose the one that leads back to your house.
Good. Let's take this back first.
Yeah, I give the writers credit for tying it all back into Robert Frost there, and taking the road that leads back to the Matthews house. And the discussion around, did the guy in the poem have a best friend to help him and stand with him or not? But whether he did or not, Shawn does. So he's not making the choice alone. He's making it in concert with someone who stands there and supports him.
And we do have this theme of the best friends helping each other through the world. So
we do.
It's not that out there for this to continue into this theme of today. So I mean, I do like Cory explaining the poem, that he understood the poem and making clear you don't have to be the person alone in the woods to have to make the choice.
But it would have been so much better with the 1-2 punch of Turner and Cory there.
Yeah. Exactly. And we do hear a bus coming, so that is nice.
Yes. Kudos on the sound design. They got a lot of stuff going on in the background there that makes it feel like it's really the docks. So there you go. Kudos.
I do love, Brett, that when we get to the tag, Alan's like, "This is the exact shirt I saw in that window, and I told you I want it, and you bought it, and now I have it."
It seems like he does kind of miss a surprise element, but he got what he wanted.
Now, Brett, are you surprised at all on Christmas, or do you pretty much know what you're getting most years?
I generally am surprised because I don't really. It's not that I'm a bad person to shop for. I'm generally very content with what I have, so I don't. I don't really have anything big or glaring that is easy to pick up and say, "Oh, hey, he really is looking for this." I mean, I've put together some Amazon wish lists a couple of times to help out with ideas, but I generally am surprised. Yeah,
That's fair.
What about you?
Yeah. Well, normally we'll kind of agree upon like a big item for both of us. Like when we got the Switch this past Christmas, we were like, some of the money we would have spent on each other, we just spent towards that because we're all going to use it. Yeah, but generally, like one thing We may get like a couple of little small things for each other that we basically know is coming, or we'll buy it, put it in the cart, and be like, "Don't worry, you'll see this in about a month." Um, but we have a tradition of where we'll do our stockings for each other. Since Santa doesn't bring anything into our stockings, we'll fill each other's stockings up. And normally we don't tell each other what's going to be in there, so we'll get like an ornament for one another that's something that we like, and then get a bunch of other little small things. Sometimes we get candy. We've actually gone away from most candies at this point for each other, and try to get little small things that the other one will appreciate or try
Mhm.
new. So there's always some interesting things we'll put in each other's baskets and use quite a bit or not at all. And I don't know, it's a nice little fun tradition we have.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Before we do
Lonnie,
get to the "Hey Lonnie, there's a blizzard." Brr.
yep. And we find out that apparently Lonnie made the whole thing up.
No,
Although
she
she
did.
does say Eric has a cute butt, though.
Hmm.
So do we think Lonnie made it all up, or was she just lying to get Eric to stop?
No, she definitely did it. But I think she's realized that Eric has no self control
Mm-hmm.
and is not interested whatsoever.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Hmm.
And with that, good looking people, it is.
Brett, they sit down and have a nice family photo.
Oh,
The
yes.
classic
Sorry.
Christmas
We get the
ending.
classic 1996 Christmas card photo to send out to
Yes.
all of TGIF. And that
Yes.
is Christmas 1996 with the Matthews family. Easy Street.
Yes.
So, Tyler, you got some deep dives for us?
People, 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 people. Am I the only one who read the summer reading list?
So, The Road Less Taken is a narrative poem by Robert Frost, published in August 1915. It was in the Atlantic Monthly. It was later published as the first poem in the 1916 poem collection, The Mountain Interval. Its center's theme is the divergence of path, both literally and figuratively, although its interpretive is noted for being complex and potential divergent. Um, yes, so there's only 20 lines to it, so it's not a very long poem.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I guess we'll do this. So I'm actually going to read the poem since I have it here, so why not? Two roads diverged in a yellow wood. I'm sorry I could not travel both, and be one traveler. Long I stood and looked down as one as far as I could to where it bent in the undergrowth. Then took the other as just as far, and both perhaps better claim, because it was grassy and wanted wear. Though as for that, the passing there a worn uh, had warned them really the same about the same, and both that morning equally lay in leaves. No step had trodden black. Oh, I kept the first and the other day, yet knowing how way leads to no way. I doubled if I should have ever come. I doubted if I should have ever come back. I shall be telling this with a sigh. Somewhere, ages and ages hence, two roads diverged in a wood. I I took the one less traveled by, and that was made all the difference. So, essentially, I take this as taking the road that is less traveled may be difficult, but it is the right one to take.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and as we saw in the episode, one way of traveling was literally a way to take the easy way and the other way was going to be harder, more difficult, but more valuable. So it's up to us to figure out what is the best way to move forward in life, and um, it's not always going to look the same for everybody. And there's going to be people that say you took the wrong road, and though no, I took the right one. It's all a matter of perspective, I think. Because maybe the mafia is right for you. Who knows? You'll never know until you go to isthemafiarightforme.com. Not a
I'm
sponsor
going to go out on a
yet.
limb and say the mafia is never right for anyone. Organized crime is never right for anyone.
Right. Unless
Contrary to
you work
what
for
Tyler might think.
a big mutual fund.
Tyler.
Are you farther gone than I ever would have imagined?
That is really well placed. The lottery, or the lotto, is a gambling that involves the drawing of numbers at random for prize. Some governments lotteries, while others endorse them. To the extent of organizing a national or state lottery, it's common to find some degree of regulation of the lottery by governments. The most common regulation is prohibiting a sale to minors, or vendors must be licensed to sell lottery tickets. Although lotteries were common in the United States and some other countries during the 19th century, by the beginning of the 20th century, most forms of gambling, including lotteries and sweepstakes, were illegal in the United States and most of Europe as well as many other countries. This remains so until, well, after World War II. 1960s, casinos, lotteries began to reappear throughout the world as a means for governments to raise revenue without raising taxes. Yep. It's always funny when people justify playing the lottery because they're supporting the elderly or they're supporting the education, blah, blah, blah. Actually, what you're supporting is the need for the government not to fund those programs. They're not getting more funding. They are the only funding source.
Yep. You're playing the lottos, the lottos, so the government doesn't have to do its job.
Exactly. We made a small joke of this earlier, so I'll go ahead and just talk about it real quick. I'm Gonna Be 500 Miles is a song written and performed by Scottish duo The Proclaimers, first released in August 1988. Um, yes, it was involved with their second album, Sunshine on Leith. The song reached number 11 in the UK singles chart on its initial release and topped the charts in Australia, Iceland, and New Zealand. Let's be honest, I think the song is more popular for millennials because of shows like How I Met Your Mother. That's how I was first introduced to the show. Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist has a really, really good cover of the song. Um, yeah, it's a song that is part of culture, and we're better off for it. That's what I
Benny
say.
and June. Great opening montage for Benny and June, the movie.
Yes.
Early Johnny Depp.
Traumatic brain injuries, Brett, usually results from a violent blow or jolt to the head or body, an object that goes through brain tissue, such as a bullet or shattered piece of skull, also can cause traumatic brain injuries. Mild traumatic brain injuries may affect your brain cells temporarily. More serious traumatic brain injuries can result in bruising, torn tissue, bleeding, and other physical damage to the brain. These injuries can result in long term complications or death. Um, Symptoms, traumatic brain injuries can have wide-ranging physical and psychological effects. Some signs and symptoms may appear immediately or after the traumatic event, while others may appear days or weeks later. Some of these physical would be headaches, nausea, vomiting, fatigue, drowsiness, problems with speech, dizziness or loss of balance. Sensory problems such as blurred vision, ringing in the ear, bad taste in the mouth, or change in ability to smell, sensitivity to light or sound. Cognitively, a loss of consciousness for a few seconds to a minute, loss of consciousness but state of being dazed and confused or disoriented. Memory or comprehension or memory or uh, con what memory problems. Let's go with that. Mood changes, mood swings, feeling depressed, anxious, drifting, sleeping, or sleeping more than usual. Really, Brett, let's just be real. These are all signs that you either have a traumatic brain injury or you could just be pregnant. Because I'm going to be real with you. Every time we have ever Googled, hey, is this normal during pregnancy? Things would pop up like, well, it's not uncommon, but sometimes women will experience this with pregnant. And I'm like, so what's the answer? Is everything a possibility when a woman is pregnant? Apparently, our science hasn't caught up to what's the deal when women get pregnant and why are they always so rapidly different?
Yeah. Pretty much.
Oh, golly. So as we were talking about, I was struggling a little bit with Cory with being self-righteous. And so I wanted to have the definition of self-righteous. And we have from Webster's dictionary, conviction of one's own righteousness, especially in contrast with the actions and beliefs of others, narrow-minded, moralistic. And unfortunately, Cory does fall in the line of this in this episode. And I do think it's because he's coming from a place of a higher moral authority, which in a way I know he is. He's coming from a place where he didn't have to worry about where his next meal is coming from, although, quote unquote, his family was going to be poor. They never were. But, you know, outside of that sign of weakness, he tends to have a higher moral superiority to his one friend. Yeah. I had a thing about myths when it comes to what do you do when you're in snow, but we're not going to go into those, Brett. We're going to call it right there and say those are your deep dives.
All right. Well, then let us talk about what we learned this week.
You know anything about the Odyssey? Huh? Did I say you could talk?
I didn't teach you that.
My friend Mr. Matthews will lead the discussion.
Do I have to draw you a picture?
And in honor of such a poetic episode, I give you one of Frankie Stacchino's finest.
Poem of the fierce and bloodthirsty samurai warrior. The cherry trees are blooming. On the third evening, the last flower dies and falls. Thank you.
What did you learn this week, Tyler?
Well, I learned that Eric can really be a big giant creep. I hate that fact. Yeah, this is actually the episode that Will Friedle, that he believes this is the episode where Eric actually dies and the rest of the show is in his head as part of his
died
limbo.
in a blizzard.
No, I don't believe that. But I guess the thing I would say is, as a adult, especially as a parent, if my child's getting a job in high school, I need to be aware of who he's going to be working for and making sure that they are legit and making sure it's a sound job. I don't know what steps Alan and Amy took to make sure that he was getting a job that was well worth it for a high schooler. That bothers me a lot. And so, yeah. And also, if I have an opportunity to employ my own child, I'd say I want to employ my own child instead of them working for someone else that I don't trust.
Mm-hmm.
What did you learn, Brett?
Well, other than the obvious, if my kid wants to work at a job that starts at 3:30 in the morning, say no. Actually, recently, both of my teenagers found employment. Abby with Chick-fil-A and Toby with the Parks Department this summer. And so I was able to
Nice.
walk through that process with both of them and help to vet through the process. Not that there's much vetting with Chick-fil-A. I mean, they're pretty sound all the way through anyway. But I'll go with a more traditional teaching. Don't get yourself locked into life choices too early. Shawn and Cory are 15 years old in this episode. There's always time and opportunities for your roads to diverge and other paths to arise for you to take. And as parents, there's time for you to walk on those paths with your children and help them to see which paths are wise to take and which paths are not. And that is our role as parents, is to help serve as guides, especially as they get older, which my children are getting, sadly. Yes. So.
I'm right?
No, you're exactly right.
So am I done with my education? Can I go?
How would you grade Easy Street, Tyler?
I gotta give it a C minus.
Mm.
I think this is the worst grade I've given so far this season.
It might be.
No, I can't remember what I gave Hair Today, Gone Tomorrow. I can't remember. I mean, I'm not giving the between the different storylines, like, because I have a problem with both of them.
Mm.
And when it comes to Cory, it's the self-righteousness. I've already talked about that. And then with Eric's storyline, it really bothers me. A, it's so short, it's almost there's no reason to have it. And B, just the way he acts at the end is just so creepy. Yeah, I just don't like how either storylines played in together, and also I felt uncomfortable, I think, as a dad watching this episode. In a way that I have not experienced before with this show. And this has never been one of my favorite episodes. There's a bunch of bits in here that I do enjoy and love and find funny. But yeah, like you, I always remember this episode as, oh, this is the one where Eric gets trapped in the car and, but Eric, we survived. So what? And I always remember that there is a Mafia Christmas one, but I can never remember which one it is. So, yeah, unless it's Christmas season, I really have no desire to watch this episode. So
yeah, I just checked that I think this is your lowest graded one because you did give Hair Today, Gone Tomorrow a B.
Yeah, that's because the one storyline was an A and the other one I think was a C. So
kind of split the difference there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think this is probably going to be my lowest grade of the season as well because I'm going to give this one a D.
Ooh.
Yeah,
what else did you hate?
Well, there's so much there that is there's so much that I have already mentioned this script needed another pass or two. There are so many logistical issues within the world that we have to work through. There were no adults involved at all, even though both teenagers found themselves working for the mafia. There was a total missed opportunity to bring Turner back in, even for just one more 90-second scene. The whole Eric being creepy storyline was unnecessary. It just the only
and Turner and Feeney basically saying Shawn is going to be worthless if he keeps falling asleep in class.
Yeah, it's regression all around. And so the only things that really keep it from failing are that I like that Shawn finally pulls in and sees that, we get to see some growth for him. We get to see him willingly walk away from what is a bad choice, and he sees that on his own.
Yeah.
And we get some of the classic bits, like the falling asleep and snoring in class. And we get to see concussed Eric, and we get to see Will's slapstick. But yeah, I pull out a lot of holiday episodes around holidays to watch of different TV shows. This is not one that makes my list to pull out every year at Christmas time.
Yeah.
I love Soupy Sales and Buddy Hackett, and I do feel like their performance here was good. I do feel like they were wasted within the story or the storyline.
Yeah. I almost wish it could have been like at the end of the episode, you would have found out, well, they're not actually in the mob. They don't
There's
care.
a couple of old guys that
they have a failing business and they like
rich.
it. Right. They're rich. They just keep paying for it. This is where they get all their meals so they don't have to cook food for themselves.
That would have
And
been
they
a
enjoy
fun
having
twist.
Yeah, they just enjoy having meals together. I
They never
so
had
wish it
kids,
could have
and they
been.
just like to hire young kids and give them money.
Right, exactly.
That
They're
would have
like,
been a
yeah, we
fun
want you to have an
twist.
easy job.
That would have been a fun twist to have. It really would
It
have.
would have. There's just, and that's the thing that might annoy me the most about this episode is there's so much more they could have done if they had just focused things up a little bit more.
Yeah, they needed to tighten it. Cut that Eric subplot out and really work a little bit harder on this A plot, and they would have had some good stuff there.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if they had just shown Eric saying at the beginning of the episode, "Yeah, Lonnie, I'll take you," and then them showing up later to the house, and then her saying exactly what she said, nothing would have changed in the episode
Mhm.
other than the 2 minutes they were in the car to break away.
Yeah. Yeah, and then we can get it. Then we can avoid that whole creepy stuff in the tag too. They show up in the tag, and that's the tag, is finding out that they had to do all that.
Yeah,
There,
I
we
don't
just
know.
spent 90 seconds rewriting the episode, making it better. But so I got a couple of dad jokes for you. But before I get there, fun announcement for those in the Good Looking People world. With the completion of this episode, we are officially halfway through both this season and the series of Boy Meets World.
Wow. That's
Yes.
crazy.
Yes, went and did the math. We're halfway through the season because, there's 23 episodes, so we're technically halfway to 24 now.
Mhm.
But also, we are halfway through the 7 seasons now of Boy Meets
Wow.
World. So,
That's
yeah,
crazy.
trucking along here.
Yes, we are.
Yeah.
I was reflecting with your wife on the phone the other day about how, when we had recorded live together and how early on that was, and how different life is for all of us now.
Yes, indeed.
Lots happened.
Yes, it has. So there's these 2 giant windmills out on a hilltop. One of them turns to the other.
Picture it.
Yes, you're picturing it. 2 giant windmills.
Mm-hmm.
And one turns to the other and asks, "What kind of music do you like?" The other one says, "I'm a really big metal fan." And one more for you.
Please.
So I like to take my dog to the park, but I can't do it anymore because the ducks keep biting him. But I should have known this would happen because he's purebred.
For a moment, I thought your joke was just ended, and I was like, gosh, I don't know. Even a dad joke, that doesn't make sense.
It's a sleeper dad joke.
Yes.
Well, that's it for us this week, Good Looking People. Merry Christmas in May.
Merry Christmas, one and all.
That's right. Or if you listen to this at Christmas in this year, because we'll bring it back this year and remind you it's there. Merry Christmas, and to all a good night. You can find us online at across social media at dadsmeetworld, Twitter, X, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. I haven't been too active on TikTok the last couple weeks. Been a little bit busy in the day job to do that, but I'm going to get back to that this week, hopefully. And you can send us an email at dadsmeetworld@gmail.com. you can also find us on YouTube, where we actually had a comment this week. Apparently, we showed up in someone's playlist. They kept their YouTube playing, and we popped up next in their automatic playlist. And they left us a comment that said something along the lines of, this popped up next, and I wasn't expecting it. But we also got a thumbs up on the episode, so I guess I liked it.
Nice.
So, good looking people, we thank you for listening, and we will see you next week for, I believe it's B&B's B&B. So until
and
then,
I'm the Grinch who stole Christmas, and I'm sorry.
Until next time, I'll see you good looking.
Bye.
I want to be normal, Spud. You know, how can I learn so much every week and still be so stupid? Topanga.
Dads Meet World is a production of Headfirst Studios. Headfirst Studios. Tell your story.
You know, it freaks me out when I look up and we're both moving in the same direction. There's only so much you can do dancing-wise on a screen, but it freaks me out.
Yeah, there's only so many ways I can move sitting in a chair.
Mm-hmm.